What do you do when someone challenges your life's work in public? In front of strangers who have no context, no loyalty, and no patience? Most people react instantly. They argue to protect their ego. Some retreat to protect their peace. But in 1973, inside a crowded airport terminal, Bruce Lee chose a third option, one so quiet, so controlled, that it forced everyone watching to reconsider what real strength actually looks like. Los Angeles International Airport, Terminal 3, March 15, 1973, Friday afternoon, around 3:30, spring break season. The terminal is alive with motion and noise, the kind of organized chaos that only airports generate. Families cluster around seats, children darting between legs and luggage, parents calling names without really expecting to be heard. Business travelers sit rigid and tired, suits slightly rumpled. Newspapers unfolded more out of habit than interest. College students sprawl across the floor, backpacks as pillows. Time passing slowly in that way it only does when you have nowhere else to be. The air is heavy with layered smells. Burnt coffee from a concession stand that's been overworked all day. Jet fuel drifting in from the tarmac every time the automatic doors slide open. Underneath it all, that sterile mix of recycled air and industrial carpet cleaner that defines airports everywhere. Overhead, the PA system crackles to life every few minutes, delivering announcements in a flat, emotionless tone that somehow manages to sound both urgent and dull. Flights boarding. Flights delayed. The usual rhythm of international travel in the early 70s, near Gate 27, slightly removed from the main foot traffic. Bruce Lee sits alone in a row of connected plastic chairs. He isn't drawing attention. Dark slacks, a simple black turtleneck. His leather jacket rests on the seat beside him. A small carry-on sits neatly at his feet. He's leaning forward, reading intently, pen in hand, occasionally pausing to scribble notes in the margins of a manuscript. It's his Jeet Kune Do material, still evolving, still unfinished. Personal, philosophical. A system not just about fighting, but about efficiency, adaptability, and truth. He's waiting for a flight to Hong Kong, a short trip, he thinks. Visit family. Handle business with Golden Harvest Studios. Check in on post-production for Enter the Dragon. He doesn't yet know this film will change everything. In this moment, he isn't a global icon. He's just a tired man trying to carve out a pocket of quiet inside a loud, crowded terminal. Bruce is 32 years old, 5'7", 135 pounds, compact, precise, nothing wasted. He's wearing reading glasses, something audiences never see on screen. They soften his appearance, make him look less like a fighter and more like a scholar, which, when the cameras are off, is exactly what he is. A teacher, a philosopher, a lifelong student of movement and human potential. He's been awake since 4 in the morning, a 5-mile run before sunrise. Heavy bag, work, an hour of Kaisao training. His knuckles are still tender from striking drills. His lower back aches from flexibility work the day before. But his mind is clear, sharp, fully engaged with the words in front of him. Around him, the gate area is only partially full. 50, maybe 60 people scattered across chairs and floor. Some asleep, some reading. A few kids pushing toy cars across the tiles, keys clinking softly. Normal airport energy. No one paying attention to anyone else. Then something changes. A man enters the gate area with a different kind of presence. He's tall, around 6'2" and solid, maybe to 110 pounds. Asian American, late 20s. He's wearing a white judo gi, clean but clearly worn, with a black belt tied firmly around his waist. The belt is frayed at the edges, softened by years of use. This isn't decorative. This is earned. A gym bag hangs from one shoulder, hair still damp with sweat from training. He moves with purpose. Head up, shoulders back. The quiet confidence of someone who knows exactly where they stand in their discipline. His name is Robert Chen, a 6th-degree black belt, 15 years of training, national competitions, regional placements, an instructor at a dojo in West Los Angeles. This is not a hobbyist looking for attention. This is a serious martial artist who has invested his life into his art. Robert is heading toward gate 28, right next to Bruce's gate, when he suddenly stops mid-step, freezes. His eyes lock onto the man sitting alone with a book. Recognition is immediate. Almost everyone in the martial arts world knows that face by now. Even before international superstardom, the Green Hornet, television appearances, demonstrations that made the news. Bruce Lee is already a symbol, whether he wants to be or not. Robert's expression hardens. Not excitement, not admiration. Something sharper. His jaw tightens. His eyes narrow. He shifts the gym bag to his other shoulder, squares his stance, and changes direction. He walks straight toward Bruce. People notice. Conversations fade. Heads turn. There's that instinctive human awareness that something unscripted is about to happen. Robert stops about 5 feet away and says nothing at first. He just stands there, looming, waiting to be acknowledged. Bruce senses him before he looks up. Years of sensitivity training mean his awareness never fully switches off. Even while reading, part of his attention is tracking the space around him. He knows someone is standing too close. Deliberately close. He lifts his head slowly, removes his glasses, and sets them carefully on the manuscript. His face is calm, neutral. Not defensive. Not irritated. Just present. "You're Bruce Lee," Robert says, loud enough for the entire gate area to hear. It's not a question. It's an accusation. Bruce nods once. "That's right." Robert shifts his weight. Subtle but unmistakable to anyone familiar with grappling arts. A preparatory movement. "I've seen your movies," he says. "The Green Hornet. Your demonstrations." Bruce says nothing. He waits. "Kung Fu is useless," Robert continues, louder now, making sure everyone hears. "Against real martial arts, judo, wrestling, actual combat sports. Kung Fu is just dancing. Movie fighting. It wouldn't last 10 seconds against a real judoka." The gate area goes silent, and this is the moment where most men would raise their voice. This is where arguments usually begin. This is where egos collide. But Bruce Lee still hasn't said a word. Around 50 people are holding their breath without realizing it. The silence isn't forced. It's instinctive. Something important is unfolding, and everyone can feel it. Bruce Lee looks at Robert for a long moment. His expression doesn't change. There's no anger rising to meet the challenge, no pride flaring up to defend a reputation. What's happening behind Bruce's eyes is closer to analysis than emotion. He's reading Robert the same way he would read an opponent mid-exchange, not for technique, but for intention. And almost immediately, he sees it. This isn't really about Kung Fu versus Judo. That's just the language Robert is using. Underneath it, this is about something far more personal. It's about a man who needs to prove something, maybe to himself, maybe to the strangers watching, maybe to a martial arts community that has been buzzing for years about Bruce Lee and his unsettling ideas. Ideas like absorbing what is useful and rejecting what is useless. Ideas that question tradition, that blur boundaries between styles, that value effectiveness over appearance. To someone who has spent 15 years inside a G, honoring lineage and structure, those ideas can feel like a threat. Bruce recognizes the fear immediately. He's seen it many times before. Traditional martial artists who can't separate their art from their identity. Men who feel that if one approach is right, then theirs must be wrong. And if theirs is wrong, then what were those 15 years really for? Bruce understands that fear intimately. He knows he could talk his way through this. He could explain that he respects judo deeply, that grappling arts are essential, that Jeet Kune Do incorporates wrestling, throws, and clinch work, that he's never claimed Kung Fu as superior, only that every system has strengths and limits. But words won't reach Robert right now. Not with an audience, not with ego demanding validation, not when the challenge has already become public. So Bruce makes a decision. He closes his book carefully and sets it on the chair beside him, as if finishing a thought he can return to later. Then he stands up, slowly. No sudden movements, no aggression, just standing. bringing himself as close to eye level with a man 5 inches taller. His voice, when he speaks, is quiet and calm. Show me. Robert blinks, caught off guard. What? Show me that Kung Fu won't work against Judo, Bruce says. His tone is almost conversational. You're making a claim. Back it up. Show me. The gate area tightens. This isn't what anyone expected. Robert certainly didn't. He'd prepared for an argument, for defensiveness, maybe even anger, not acceptance, not an invitation. A businessman nearby shifts nervously and mutters, "Hey, maybe we shouldn't." Bruce raises one hand gently, palm outward, a calming gesture. "It's okay," he says. "We're just having a discussion. No one will get hurt." The certainty in his voice is unsettling, like someone describing something they've already seen happen. Robert sets his gym bag down. People begin to move back instinctively, forming a loose circle. Some are excited. This is better than television. Others are anxious, fully aware that violence in a public airport could spiral out of control in seconds. An elderly woman pulls her grandson closer. A security guard 2 gates away finally notices the disturbance and starts walking toward them. But he's far at least 50 yards. Whatever is about to happen will be over before he arrives. Robert steps into the cleared space and drops into a proper judo stance. Feet shoulder-width apart, knees bent, hands up, balanced. Grounded, 15 years of muscle memory settle into place. He looks formidable, confident, ready. This is his world. Bruce does not mirror him. He doesn't take a stance at all. He stands naturally, feet where they are, hands relaxed at his sides, breathing calm. He looks less like someone preparing to fight and more like someone waiting in line to board a plane. That contrast ignites something in Robert. The lack of fear, the lack of ceremony, the absolute confidence. It feels like disrespect. "Put your hands up," Robert snaps through clenched teeth. Bruce shakes his head slightly. "I don't need to." "Then you'll lose. Show me." Robert moves. He's fast. Years of training have wired his body to act without hesitation. He closes the distance into quick steps, reaching with his right hand for Bruce's lapel. The classic judo grip. Control the clothing. Control the body. Set up the throw. It's basic, effective, drilled thousands of times. His second hand comes forward to secure the hold. Bruce intercepts the motion before it fully forms. His left hand meets Robert's wrist mid-reach, not blocking, but arriving first. Fingers close with precise pressure, just enough to stop the motion without causing pain. Robert tries to pull back, instinctively resetting, but Bruce is already ahead of him. Bruce's right hand comes up and taps the inside of Robert's elbow. It's not a strike in the dramatic sense, just a sharp, accurate touch that lands on a sensitive point. Robert's arm reacts involuntarily, hyperextending for a fraction of a second. His grip collapses. Structure gone. Bruce steps off the center line, angling to Robert's outside. Robert's forward momentum carries him into empty space. His training tells him to recover, to plant, to regain balance. But timing is ruthless. Bruce's right foot sweeps Robert's lead leg at the exact moment his weight is transitioning. It's a simple sweep, basic, something taught to beginners. But simplicity doesn't mean weakness. The timing is perfect. Resistance isn't possible. Robert's base disappears. He's falling. Years of ukemi training activate instantly. Chin tucks, arm slaps, body prepares to absorb impact safely. But Bruce controls the descent. His left hand still holds Robert's wrist. His right hand guides the shoulder, not slamming him, not punishing him, just directing the fall. Robert lands flat on the airport carpet. Controlled. No injury. Before his mind can catch up, Bruce's knee settles on his chest. Not crushing, just present, just enough. Bruce pins Robert's wrist to the ground with one hand. The other hovers near his throat, not touching, not threatening, just positioned where it needs to be. Bruce leans in slightly and speaks so softly only Robert can hear. "Do you tap?" Robert stares up at him. His face is red not from effort, but from realization, from the sudden, crushing understanding that 15 years of training just unraveled in seconds. that he was never hurt, never humiliated with force, just shown dot around them, the terminal is frozen. Mouths open. Movements paused mid-action. A man halfway into a chair. A woman holding a coffee cup inches from her lips. The children with toy cars are completely still. 50 strangers, silent, watching the aftermath of a lesson they didn't know they were about to receive. For a moment, no one in the gate area can fully process what they've just witnessed. It happened too fast for the mind to organize into a clear sequence. 7 seconds from first contact to complete control. 7 seconds to take a 6'2", 200-plus pound, 6th-degree black belt from standing dominance to pinned on the ground without injury. Without rage, without chaos, the human brain expects violence to look loud, messy, prolonged. This was none of those things. This was precise, surgical, almost quiet. The security guard finally arrives. Breath slightly quickened from the walk. Hand already moving toward his radio as his eyes take in the scene. Robert on his back. Bruce Lee kneeling over him. 50 stunned witnesses frozen in a loose circle. For half a second, the guard's body tenses, ready for escalation. Bruce notices immediately. He releases Robert's wrist, rises slowly, and steps back 3 deliberate paces. His hands stay visible, palms open. Every movement communicates the same message. It's over. There is no danger here. Robert remains on the ground, staring at the ceiling. He isn't hurt. His body is fine. What's shattered is something internal. A worldview built carefully over 15 years has just been rewritten in 7 seconds. And the mind needs time to catch up. Bruce extends a hand toward him, not as a victor offering mercy, but as a teacher offering balance. Robert looks at the hand, then at Bruce's face. There's no mockery there, no triumph, no ego feeding on the moment. Just help. Robert takes the hand. Bruce pulls him up easily. Robert's legs wobble slightly, not from exhaustion, but from shock. Psychological vertigo. The security guard steps closer. What's going on here? His voice is firm, professional, but uncertain. Bruce answers calmly. We were having a discussion about martial arts. My friend wanted a demonstration. I showed him. No one's hurt. The guard turns to Robert. That true? Robert nods slowly. Words haven't returned yet. The guard scans the crowd. Everyone okay? Heads nod. A few people finally exhale. Some begin whispering already, assembling the story in their minds. By tomorrow, it'll involve 10 men. By next week, Bruce will have been blindfolded. That's how legends grow, through repetition and exaggeration. The guard points at both men. Keep it peaceful. This is an airport, not a dojo. Understood, Bruce says. The guard walks away, still suspicious but with no reason to intervene. No crime, no damage, no injuries. Just 2 men practicing martial arts in a terminal. Strange, but not illegal. Bruce retrieves his leather jacket, returns to his seat, sits down, and puts his reading glasses back on. He opens his manuscript exactly where he left off, pen ready, as if nothing unusual just occurred. The airport noise slowly returns. Robert remains standing for a moment, then finally speaks. You can sit, Bruce says gently without looking up. My flight doesn't board for another hour. Robert sits 1 chair over, not beside him. That feels too intimate, but close enough to talk. They sit in silence for nearly a minute. Then Robert breaks it. How? Bruce looks up. How what? How did you do that? I'm a 6th degree. 15 years. I've thrown men bigger than me, and you just... His sentence dissolves under its own weight. Bruce closes his book and removes his glasses. You're a very good judoka. Robert's face flushes. Don't patronize me. I'm not. Bruce replies. Your stance was textbook. Your entry was fast. Your grit was correct. Everything you did was right. For judo. Then how? You fought with rules, Bruce says calmly. You grabbed for my gi, but I wasn't wearing one. You set up for a classical throw, but I didn't give you classical structure. You trained for 15 years against people playing the same game you were playing. He pauses. I don't play games. I fight. Robert stares at the floor. Judo is beautiful. Bruce continues. It's effective. but it's optimized for a specific context. Opponents in GIS, specific grips, competition rules. When you face someone who doesn't respect those rules, who doesn't give you the setup you need, what happens? I lose, Robert says quietly. No, Bruce corrects him. You learn. Today you learned that your art has limitations. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Every art has limitations. The question is, are you rigid or are you water? Robert looks up. Water. Bruce smiles slightly. Water doesn't fight the container. It becomes the container. It flows around obstacles. It adapts. Judo is your foundation. Solid. Strong. But are you willing to add to it? To let it evolve? You're saying I should learn Kung Fu? Bruce shakes his head. I'm saying you should learn everything. Wrestling, boxing, fencing, study them all. Absorb what is useful. Reject what is useless. Add what is specifically your own. Don't be a judoka, be a martial artist. The PA system crackles overhead. Pan Am Flight 740 to Hong Kong now boarding at Gate 27. Bruce stands, gathers his jacket, his bag, his manuscript. Robert rises to, urgency in his voice. Wait, can I train with you? Bruce studies him for a moment, then reaches into his jacket and pulls out a business card, scribbling on the back. My school's in Chinatown, Tuesday and Thursday evenings. If you're serious, come. He pauses, but check your ego at the door. White belt mind even if you wear a black belt. Robert takes the card, staring at it like it might disappear. Bruce extends his hand. It was good to meet you, Robert. Robert shakes it, startled. You know my name. Your gym bag. Bruce says. It's embroidered. Bruce turns and walks toward the gate. The boarding line parts instinctively. People watch him go, still trying to understand what they just saw. Robert stands there holding the card, feeling the dull ache in his back from the fall, and the deep ache in his ego from the lesson. An elderly woman approaches him, the same one clutching her grandson earlier. That was Bruce Lee, she says. Robert nods. Yes, you were very brave to challenge him. I was very stupid, Robert replies. She pats his arm. But you learned. That's not stupid. That's wise. 3 months later, Robert Chen climbs the wooden stairs to the Junfan Kung Fu Institute in Chinatown. Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock. He isn't wearing a gi, no belt, just black pants and a white t-shirt. Inside, the air smells of sweat and liniment oil. Students move in pairs, controlled strikes, shuffling feet. Bruce Lee is teaching Kai Sao, never stopping as Robert enters. Robert watches. The techniques are unfamiliar. The principles are not. Robert watches the class with new eyes. The movements in front of him don't look rigid or rehearsed. There's no stiffness, no obsession with perfect shapes. Instead, he sees sensitivity, timing, and flow. Students aren't forcing techniques. They're responding to pressure, redirecting it, blending with it, reading an opponent's energy instead of colliding with it, flowing with force instead of fighting against it. For the first time, Robert understands what Bruce meant by water not as a metaphor, but as a method. After the demonstration, Bruce Lee brings the class to attention. The room quiets instantly. We have a new student today, Bruce says. Robert Chen, 6th degree judo black belt, 15 years of experience, legitimate skill. A few students glance at Robert with curiosity. Bruce looks directly at him. But today, he's a white belt, because we're all white belts when we learn something new. Robert feels a strange mix of humility and relief. The class bows. He bows back, deeper than he has in years. Bruce pairs him with Dan Inosanto. Dan, he says, teach him Kai Sao basics. Don't go easy on him, but don't break him either. Dan grins and steps forward, arms relaxed, open. Ready! Robert raises his hands and makes contact. And for the next 2 hours, something profound happens. Not physically dramatic. No throws, no slams. Instead, Robert begins the slow, uncomfortable process of unlearning. 15 years of rigid structure loosen. Habits built around control give way to sensitivity. Every time he stiffens, he's off balance. Every time he forces, he's redirected. Slowly, painfully, beautifully, he learns what it means to adapt. He learns to be water. 50 years later, Robert Chen is 78 years old and still teaching. His school in West Los Angeles no longer belongs to a single tradition. It's an integrated system. Judo as a foundation, layered with Jeet Kune Do principles, boxing, wrestling, Muay Thai. Nothing rigid, nothing sacred except effectiveness. On the wall of his office hangs a black and white photograph taken at a seminar in 1974. Bruce Lee and Robert Chen, both smiling. Bruce's hand rests lightly on Robert's shoulder. When students ask about Bruce, Robert tells them the story, the airport, the challenge, the 7 seconds, and he always ends the same way. I challenged him to prove Kung Fu was useless, Robert says. He proved something better. He proved that being right and winning are not the same thing. That real strength is offering to teach the person who challenged you. That mastery isn't about dominating. It's about elevating. Bruce could have humiliated him, could have hurt him, could have walked away and let ego dissolve into rumor. Instead, he offered 7 seconds that changed a life. 7 seconds that taught more than 15 years inside a G ever had. That wasn't Kung Fu. Robert tells them. That wasn't judo. That was mastery. And somewhere in Hong Kong, inside the archives of Golden Harvest Studios, there's footage few people have ever seen. March 1973. Bruce Lee boarding a plane at LAX. A cameraman was filming background footage for a documentary that never happened. But if you watch closely, frame by frame, you can catch it. A tall man in a white G standing near the gate, watching Bruce walk away. A small business card clenched in his hand. His face caught in the exact moment when a worldview collapses and something larger takes its place. 7 seconds of combat. 50 years of impact. That is the difference between winning a fight and changing a life.